Welcome back. In this video, we're going to complete topic 2.8, looking at specifically how the Java compiler handles autoboxing and unboxing for us. We're again looking at the integer and double wrapper classes and how we can take an int and have it become an integer, and then also how we can go in there and grab the int value, and the same for double. Here are the same learning objectives that we've been looking at, or the learning objective, var 1F, but I would like for you to take a minute and really read through the 4 essential knowledge statements that are unpacked in this video. Pause now if you need to read through these essential knowledge statements. All right, so we're going to look at some examples, and I wanted to make this as demonstrative as possible so that hopefully it will go into a little more permanent memory. So here are some boxes that represent our wrapper classes, and what I've put along the bottom are 4 other wrapper classes that are not a part of the Java subset. So since we have a Boolean primitive data type, there's short, float, char, we can wrapper those as well, but you're not responsible for learning those. You may or may not ever use those in your CSA course, but I wanted you to be aware that they exist. So we have a wrapper for all of our primitives if we needed them. But the 2 that you will be responsible for are integer and double. So here are some of the things that you've seen in code up to this point. But what really happens is when we have this primitive little int, lowercase I, 157, like you saw in the 2.8a video 1, when we need this int to grow up and become an integer with a capital I, what the Java compiler is going to do is it's going to put that in an auto box is really what it's called, and it'll grow it up. And we could make our other, if we had other primitive ones, and when we declare them as integer objects, it auto boxes and grows them up for us. And you saw these score numbers, score 1, score 2, score 3, in video 2, and we could do the same thing with that by throwing those doubles. And what Java's going to do is package them up or auto box them for us. So just remember my little boxes. Now we have a method on the Java Quick Reference that will allow us to unbox or go in there and grab the values back out. This one doesn't want to come out of the box. So we can do that as well. So this is a representation of the boxing, auto boxing that the compiler will do for us, and then the unboxing process. So I want you now to look at the code, and we're going to trace through the code to kind of see it's already happened. You've already been doing it. I just didn't call it out to you. So it's the same code that you've been doing. Here is the Java Quick Reference showing you both the integer class and the double, and some reminders. Primitive values that you learned in Unit 1 store only single values. So the primitive data type int, double, or Boolean in their lowercase, primitive data type stores a single value. Reference data types like string or when we need to use them in array list, we'll store references. So that's part of why we need these wrappers, because there are times when we need to grow up, remember, our int or our double. And the wrappers will do this, help us with this conversion and do the converting. As of Java 5.0, the compiler now performs the auto boxing for us. When the source code is compiled, it will do the work for us, which is great. Here are the 2 constructors to construct our integer object and our double object. You've already seen that in code in the past 2 videos. And then here are our methods to grab our int value and our double value and return the value of the capital integer as an int or the capital double as a double. Now I'm going to show you the code that you've seen the previous 2 video lessons, and point out to you what's happening. Here on line 8 is where we constructed an integer object. That was autoboxing. Line 14 is where we unbox and grab that value as an int. And now from video 2 of the 2.8 topic, you see the same thing illustrated on line 8 and 15. So what should you take away from this lesson? What you need to know from this lesson is that in the compiler, as we use a wrapper class, there are things happening for us as it's taking this primitive information and giving us the ability to go in and grab our double and bring it out as a primitive lowercase d double or an integer. And then as we construct something using a wrapper class, we're creating an object, which is different than a primitive type. And again, like I said before, you're going to use this more and heavier in Unit 7 of the CSA course when you begin to work with array lists. So it may be months from now, but when you get to Unit 7 and you need to create an array list that's going to hold numbers without decimal places, integers, or what you would think of as an int, you're going to remember that you can't do that with an int little letter. You're going to need to create an array list of the integer type or an array list of the double type. And I know for a fact you'll create many projects using an array list of string types, which string is already a class. So you're all good there. So thank you for watching topic 2.8 on wrapper classes, integer, and double, and applying them in the Java Quick Reference.